Very, very good morning in Washington, D.C. to Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Sebastian, how are you doing?
Very, very well after what happened. I'm a resident of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yes.
We are very, very excited here, Mike.
I mean, is this guy Terry McAuliffe going to become a candidate for Plank of the Week? Because he seems to have completely kiboshed his own campaign.
Can I vote? Can I get a vote, please? Absolutely. And you did a superb summary of what happened here, but let's just add a couple of details. Terry, as my friend here as the morning radio show says, Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe, it's hard to choose, but he may be the sleaziest politician in the Democrat Party.
Now that's saying something.
No, seriously, it is. But this was the bagman for the Clintons. This was the fundraiser for the Clintons. So a more sleazy individual is hard to imagine. He had been the governor of Virginia before, so this should have been an absolute shoo-in. It should have been a cakewalk for him. Up comes a guy, a little bit like my boss, President Trump, who's never run for office before, Glenn Youngkin. He's been a businessman, raised in Virginia, and he wins. It's stunning. And as you said, it's because he embraced the question of the culture war.
Yeah.
Not only do we have insane leftists in control of the school boards in Virginia who are propagating these transgender policies where guys called Bruce, if they decide that today I'm Julie, they can use the female toilets and they get to, play volleyball with the girls. Not only that, this is the horror story. It's a bit like the grooming gangs that you had in the UK. One of these students put on a skirt, raped a 15-year-old girl in one of these state schools in Virginia. It was hushed up by the school board, hushed up by the superintendent. They quietly moved this student to another school where, Mike, he raped again. And at the next school board meeting, they denied it. As they were voting on their transgender policy, they said, oh, no, this is absolutely safe, and there have been no events of this kind. Nobody has been assaulted in the girls' bathrooms, and that's why this man won. Why? Because at that second debate with McAuliffe, Glenn Youngkin managed to get him to say, the parents shouldn't be in charge of the schools. That within 24 hours became a little soundbite campaign ad for Glenn, and he embraced the culture war, and he won. And this is a massive upset for Biden and the Democrats.
It really is. And I was watching a video. I want to play a little bit of it here for you, Sebastian, of why the parents decided to back Youngkin and what they thought of what had been said by McAuliffe. Let's have a watch.
I'm supporting Youngkin, and I'm supporting Loudoun County, Virginia. Okay, schools, students, parents. I've been here for 20-some years. I raised my children here. And even though my children are grown, I care.
Bring a whole new look to curriculum, and he really wants to have teachers and parents work together as a team. And I really like that. I think parents are the first educators, and I think teachers need to work very closely with parents, and I'm excited about that.
I'm out here to support Glenn Youngkin and fight to take back our schools, our government, and our country.
We're here because he is going to be there for our children. He's going to be a voice for our children. And as parents in Virginia, that's what we need.
I like what he had to say. I like what he had to say about the schools. I like what he had to say about business, taxes, all the stuff that's really important, not this divisive crap that's been going on lately.
That's brilliant stuff. And Sebastian, can we hope that this is the beginning of the fight back against the wokists and the people who think that parents don't matter, that only they know best and that they will tell us what they're going to do with our money?
From your lips to God's ears. It's incredible. We are witnessing this across the nation. This is the upside. This is the one good thing about the China virus. What happened? The little fascists like Fauci sent our kids home, shut down the schools. And what happened? They had to take their classes by Zoom, by video. And then the parents could see the insanity, the indoctrination that was being pumped into their minds, including this thing called critical race theory, which is pure Marxism that divides the children based upon skin color. It says, if you're white, you are inherently a racist. If you're black or brown, you're going to be a victim for the rest of your life. Parents woke up, and it wasn't politicians. Yes, God bless Glenn. Congratulations to Glenn Youngkin. But it was the mama bears who went to these school board meetings and said, from New York to Virginia, said, you are not doing this. You are not indoctrinating our children. People like Stacey Langton, people like Chantel Cooper here in Virginia, they won this Commonwealth for the common sense man and woman. And yes, this is going to be, my wife, who works these issues for the conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, calls this the Parents Revolt. Yeah. Parents are going to take back America one school board at a time. And now I think there's a crisis in the Democrat Party, because what have they got to show for the last 10 months with Sleepy Creepy in the White House?
Well, I mean, I presume he's back now from falling asleep at the climate summit, where he was pictured quite regularly with his eyes shut. I mean, I don't blame him for falling asleep, because it was about as interesting as watching paint dry, you know. But amazingly, you know, everybody flies in. They create enough carbon, apparently, for the whole year that they normally do in Scotland. And after 2.5 days, apparently they've solved the climate crisis, so they all go home. You know, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
It is, yeah, hypocrisy doesn't cover what they did. And then you see this creepy thing when they're in Rome without masks. They stand at the Trevi Fountain, which is okay. Every tourist goes to the Trevi Fountain. Then they turn their backs and they throw the coin. What is this? Is it a cult? You're supposed to be, you know, the arch pro-science people on the left. Right. They call the conservatives the science deniers, but superstition is going to save the planet. Right. I agree with Greta Thunberg. Did you see the video of her where they said, you can shove your climate change up your ass? Yeah. Finally, she's seen the light. God bless you, Greta. But hang on. Biden comes back. Sleepy Creepy comes back. The morning of the Virginia conservative victory, he's, you know, ambles off Air Force One, goes and drinks his Horlicks, and guess what? He canceled. He has no meetings for the day after the biggest upset victory since Donald Trump won. This is how confused they are, Mike.
Yeah, it must be fantastic, because people are fed up to the back teeth. Same here, right? Because we've sort of taken our eye off the ball. You know, the universities of this country are shoved full of these wokists, right? They're kicking anybody out who they don't like, who they don't agree with. These are the same people who then become government advisors, government ministers. You know, we've got a pretty woke Conservative Party now in this country. We don't have a Conservative Party really anymore. We've now become one of the most highly taxed nations in the entire world. You know, they're spending money like it's going out of fashion, you know, and it's our money, and it needs to stop.
As a guy who grew up, born in the UK, who grew up under Maggie Thatcher, I'm really horrified. I'm so dismayed. I thought Bojo was going to bring, you know, his big brain, and he can speak ancient Greek great. He was going to bring some kind of classical conservatism back to Downing Street. And I don't know whether COVID broke him or his new woman, but this guy, he's not a Tory, he's not a conservative. The things he said at the climate change meeting, that could have been straight out of the wokest left agenda. So, you know, somebody step up to the plate. Nigel, will you please come back? We you know, it's not just here in America we've got the wokest. It's across the pond in the UK. What would Churchill say? What would Maggie say? Come on, guys.
I know, they really wouldn't be quite able to take in what's going on, because, as I say, you know, they're talking about, you know, regulating the FTSE 100 companies and telling them to go green, or else they're going to start taxing them more. You know, they've gone mad. They seem to think that they're in charge of the world. They're not actually just sitting here for a few years while we pay them to do what we want them to do.
We have it even worse. So we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her Green New Deal, which is better termed the Green New Steel, which has led to some insane. In California now, they actually passed this law, Mike. The big corporations must have requisite representation on their boards. So, you know, if you have the right sexual organ between your legs, you can become a member of the C-suite, a member of the chief executives of a big company. Why? Not because you know anything, not because you've ever built anything, not because you got good grades at business school, but because you're a woman. That's insanity, and it is against the American ideal of meritocracy. If you're good at something, if you can build something, if you've proven yourself, that way leads success. So it's time that we had a parents' revolt on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. And I think it's coming because people are fed up. As soon as they start costing it and telling people we need to pay more money in taxes to pay for this green rubbish, you know, because the world apparently is going to end in 2050. Well, so what? If the world ends, maybe we'll all be better off. You know, I'm not going to pay to try and save it. I don't think we can. What's going on in New York, by the way? Because I saw a tweet earlier today where the trash is apparently piling up because the bin men up there are being told they have to be double vaccinated to carry on working.
Do you remember the winter of discontent before Maggie came?
We're
getting a little bit of a flavor of the winter of discontent in what used to be one of the greatest cities in the world. Because of the vaccine mandate that kicked in this week, think of this. Not more than almost 9,000+ government employees in New York were just put out of a job because they said, I've had COVID, therefore I've got the antibodies,
right.
Or B, my religion or my doctor has given me advice not to do this. And the New York state, which has become a really socialist state, said, okay, dude, you've lost your job, whether you're a copper, whether you're a nurse, or whether you're a dustbin man. That's New York. That's the insanity. That's another reason I think we're going to see the woke revolt. And it's everywhere. I had a guest on my show yesterday, former SEAL, former governor of Missouri. He told me that up to 600 members of the SEALs are going to leave our most elite tier 1 unit. It's like the SBS, because the Navy is telling them they have to get vaccinated. Mike, these are the fittest people in the world. They can bench, 300 pounds. Right. They're fighting killing machines like the SAS, and they're being told, you have to get the jab because politics, because Fauci. That's like a third of our fighting force in our most elite unit. So, whether it's the parents, whether it's the dustbin men, whether it's the nurses, whether it's our tier 1 warfighters, it's time to take back our countries.
Yeah. It's like the same. Do you remember that row, that ridiculous row there was when President Trump went out when he was campaigning and he went out in a car and he wasn't wearing his mask, and suddenly everyone was going, but what about the Secret Service guys? You know, these are the guys who supposedly will take a bullet for him. I think they're fine. I think they'll be all right with that, you know?
Right. I was there. I was actually there. It was outside the hospital after he caught COVID.
Yeah.
And we were having a little rally for the boss outside, and he drove by. He waved at us. It was epic. Somebody had ordered like 20 pizzas for everybody waiting outside. Right. And he waves at us, and somebody said, well, what about the Secret Service? The guys who, as you say, are literally trained to jump in front of the bullet for the president. If somebody tries to kill him, he needs to put a mask on for them. This is the insanity. Who are the science deniers? It's like kids. Yeah. We are now having the FDA, the CDC, say 5-year-olds have to be vaccinated. I walk past this beautiful playground every morning walking my dogs, and I see healthy parents holding the hands of their toddlers, and the little kid has got a mask on. And one day I'm going to ask him, Mike, have you looked into the mortality rates for kids? Yeah. It's not 50% of kids that get COVID who die. It's not 5%. It's not 1%. Dude, it's 0.05. Yeah. And you want to mask them? You want to jab them? They're the science deniers, Mike.
They really are. We've got a great statistic here, which I've been trotting out recently, which is of all the people who were surveyed who never wore a mask ever during the whole pandemic. Do you know what the percentage of them was that caught COVID?
No.
2%.
What?
2%.
Wow.
And
look,
now
I've had COVID. I'm not afraid of it. I refuse to wear a mask. Bring on the Delta, the Epsilon, the Gamma, the LGBT variant. I don't care. Why? Because it's, as the left like to say about abortion, my body, my choice. It's like schooling. It's like what your kids should learn. Guess who should be responsible? The parents. When it comes to my health, guess who should be responsible for my health, Mike? Me. Yes. Me and my doctor. I talk to my doctor, he gives me advice, and I make the stinking decision. Not some small little bureaucrat in the White House, not somebody who's a quote-unquote expert who's having nookie with his married paramour while he's telling the UK to lock down. Yep. I think the age of experts is dead. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think that's absolutely right. And the trouble is, though, we've now moved into the next phase, which is this climate crisis, which we're using all the same models for. You know, they're all going as if they're experts in temperature. We must keep the Earth from getting hotter than 1.5 degrees by the end of the century. I mean, it's like you're looking around going, Am I the only person here that thinks they're talking absolute and utter balderdash? They're talking rubbish. I mean, they're not using any science at all.
That's a very kind description of it. I think you and I are about the same age. Let's just wind the clock back a little bit. In the last 50 years, what have we been told by these experts? First, it was the coming ice age.
Yeah.
Go back 50 years. Look at the cover of Time. Look at the cover of Newsweek. The experts were saying the ice age is coming. When that didn't work to scare us, it was a overpopulation. We're going to run out of food. The Malthusians were scaring us. That didn't work. Oh, then it was acid rain. Let me remember. So it was ice age, overpopulation, acid rain. Oh, the ozone, remember? The hole in the ozone is going to fry us all. That didn't work. Along came global warming.
Yeah.
That didn't work to scare us. And now we're on iteration, number 6?
Yes.
And it's climate change. Guys, by the way, there's something really interesting about the climate ever since, God created the earth. It changes. And the biggest impact on the climate isn't you in your Range Rover or me in my Mustang. It's that big yellow burning thing in the sky, which we have very little control over, guys. You can put your sunglasses on or put up a little parasol, but that's about it.
Right. Well, here's another fact for you, right? We had a report this week that said that, the greenhouse gases right now in this moment in 2021 are exactly the same, and they're as high as they were 4 billion years ago. And I'm going, so maybe we haven't had much of an effect then in the last couple of 100 years that they've been measuring the actual, the Earth's temperatures and all the rest of it. And here's another great stat for you. George Monbiot, who's the sort of poster boy of a catastrophe, he wrote in The Guardian, December 23rd, 2002, that in 10 years' time, the world is going to run out of food. That was 2012.
The Guardian, I wouldn't even wrap my fish and chips in The Guardian, seriously. I mean, this is what AOC told us. AOC told us when she was elected, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we've got 12 years left to save the earth. Then, just last Friday, she said, we're going to run out of food by 2048. Hey, AOC, I'm no mathematician, but I thought the world would have ended 20 years before we got to. So these guys, it's not about the climate. It has nothing to do with the environment. It's about control.
Yeah.
As a British author once said, as James Delling-Pole said, I think he wrote a book about this. There's nothing green about this. This is a watermelon. It's a thin rind of green, and inside it's deep, deep commie red.
Yeah.
This is just another way to control us, whether it's saying you can't eat beef because cows fart too much, or whether it's saying you can't drive a V8 engine because whatever. It's just controlling your lifestyle. It's their latest excuse. Communism, like Marx wrote it, is not appealing to anybody, and now they're trying to get to you by scaring you. Whether it's masks, jabs, or whether it's the environment, it is a control mechanism, and it is Orwellian, and we have to step up and stop it.
We do, absolutely. And luckily, they're giving us plenty of reasons to ridicule them. I mean, Sleepy Creepy turns up at the Vatican, right, with an 85-car motorcade telling everybody to stop driving. Huh?
Not only that, did you see? I mean, look, I'm a cradle Catholic. If I was meeting the Pope, did you see what he said? He met the Pope, and he goes on this senile tangent, this insane thing about some baseball player.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm sorry, that's the proof. You are senile.
Yeah.
If I'm meeting the head of my church, I'm not going to ramble about some...
Right.
What is the Italian... What is the Pope in Italy, who's from South America, want to hear about baseball?
No, I know. He also said something very odd, which I thought was a very strange thing to say. I'm the only Irishman you've met who doesn't drink. Really? Well,
isn't that racist?
Well, one, it's a bit racist. Two, he's not Irish. He just pretends to be so he can get the old petrodollars from the IRA supporters. And then he makes out that he doesn't drink. Well, I don't know whether he doesn't drink or not. I presume he had a drink at some point in his life.
No, this is, if you need any proof, just what, I know it's painful, but just watch the guy for 5 minutes, whether it's back here, whether it's in Rome, whether it's at the climate summit. This is, everybody talks about, hey, conservatives shouldn't question the results of the last election. I don't need a court order. I don't need empirical evidence to understand there is no way on God's green earth that a senile, creepy old machine politician who's been in it for 47 years got more votes than the first black president.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
If you believe that, you're smoking something, and it's not tobacco.
And I see the left got very worked up when Donald Trump's letter was published in the Wall Street Journal. That was great fun.
I know. But even the Wall Street Journal, even this alleged bastion of conservatism, had to do an opinion piece from the editorial board the day after, lambasting the president.
Yeah.
But hang on a second. If everything's fair, if everything's copacetic and transparent, why would you be afraid of just investigating it? The only person who has anything to hide are the people who are the fraudsters. So if you believe in a democracy, if you believe in a republic, then shouldn't all the books be open to analysis and examination, Mike?
Well, I would have thought so, but of course that's not what they like to do. Sebastian, when can we see you on your show? When is that coming next?
So the TV show's every Sunday. It's called the Gorka Reality Check. It's on Newsmax, the competitor to Fox, a fabulous, fabulous channel. You can download the app. Just go to newsmax.com, and every day, 3 hours of radio. Once you've listened to Mike, you can listen to me. You can go to sebgorka.com. That's SEBGORKA, sebgorka.com. And the show is America First.
Tremendous stuff. Sebastian, good to talk to you. We'll see you again soon. Sebastian Gorka checking in from Virginia and from Washington, D.C., where the Republicans have just trounced home because the parents have finally had enough of the wokists. This is Talk Radio.